I'll try to keep this under 5 minutes. My name is Jay Plum, and it's so great to see all of you, family, friends I've known, friends of Bill's that I've not ever met, and I'm just blown away. My mother was Bill's older sister, and in fact there were 3 sisters. 2 of them were sitting right here, the second row. Another's passed, but as the pastor mentioned. The important thing here is that there was a 10 to 15, if I get this right, a 10 to 15 year age gap between Bill and his 3 older sisters. Right, so this is going to be important in a minute. So in 1965, when I was 8 years old, my parents separated, and my mom took me and my 3 siblings, 2 of which are back there, and we all moved back into her parents' house. And because of that 10-year age difference, Bill McCall was still living in the house. He was a junior in high school, and overnight he became my older brother that I never had. Junior year at West Point. I have recollections of him running track, playing basketball. I don't think he made varsity on the basketball, but he was always an athlete. It reminds me, he played basketball forever, and he taught me to play basketball in the backyard. We had a basketball court and a goal in the backyard, and we dribbled hours and hours together. So when I moved into with Bill at the Jarbo Street house, I moved into his bedroom because it was just a tiny house. So the 2 of us were living there in that room, and then the McCall family, Elsie and Cecil, decided they would attempt to get Westport High School's foreign exchange student for Bill's senior year through the American Field Service. And they got it. And a gentleman, a young boy from Turkey named Cowboy, moved in with us for a year. And I got kicked out of Bill's bedroom. And that was, I got moved into a little cot in the back hall, and which was perfectly fine because I'm 9 years old at that time, and nothing mattered. But I do remember during the year that I was in Bill's bedroom, you know, I got to listen to his stories and which girls he thought were cute. And his record collection, he had about 20, 30, 45 RPM records, and I was just taken by all these, and I played them all the time. And I think that kind of took me down a path of being a music fanatic my entire life. So while I was speaking to Kamal, my sister reminded me this morning that, did anybody tell Kamal? We went through probably 30 to 40 years without any contact with Kamal. And I think Bill, somebody can correct me here, I think Bill found him on Facebook. Is that possible? Well, anyway, Bill somehow found him. And they exchanged email addresses and phone numbers. And then Bill gave it to me, and I quickly reached out to Kamal, and he and I established a communication over the last couple of years. So I texted him this morning, and I will just read you Kamal's short response. I'm very sorry. Hard to express my feelings. Since 1966, he was my unforgettable American brother and the best friend. I am very sad. Kamal. Let's get back to pretty girls for a second. We used to sit, you know, whether we were at the grocery store or sitting out on the sidewalk or whether watching people walk down the street, Bill would always point out what we thought was a pretty girl. Always very respectful, by the way. Nothing naughty or untoward. what I noticed was that Bill and I had the same taste in attractive women. Another memory of this pretty girl part. There was a hit song on the radio that day. It came out of a Diet Pepsi commercial. It was called Music to Watch Girls By. And you might remember that. And it also had words in some other version. So Bill and I found a way to get that 45 RPM. We played the heck out of it for a long time. And it ended up getting destroyed a little bit later in the storm here. Anybody from the Williams, Frank and Leola, that family, the Williams family here? Old Valley Falls? Anyway, speaking of pretty girls, Bill had a high school year. She didn't go to high school with him, but he had a crush on Pam Williams, Frank and Leola's daughter. And so they kind of had a long distance relationship. They didn't see each other all that much. But one thing Bill did, he would write a love letter to her 3 or 4 times a week from his bedroom on Jarbo Street. And the post office was different back then. The mailboxes, they would have 3 pickups, 10 a.m., 2 p.m., 5 p.m. A lot of service. And we had a brand new post office in our neighborhood, the Westport Post Office, that stayed the lobby open until 10 o'clock, and they picked up the last mail at 10 o'clock. So Bill would make sure that the letter he wrote, he'd finish it up by 9, get it in the envelope, lit the stamp, and he'd get it down to the post office by 10 o'clock. And we learned over the next few months that Pam actually got those the next day. What a miracle. It can take 3 days to get mail across town now. Okay. Bill and Kathy. We all love Kathy. She also was a beautiful girl. And they got married just as we were moving from Jarbo Street to a much bigger house. Because there were 9 of us from all of us here in this little tiny house with 3 bedrooms, all sleeping at a cost of 3 people in 1 bedroom. So we finally got the big house. Bill and Kathy lived with us for a few months in a downstairs bedroom. And they had a couple of apartments. They finally got a house to rent out in Cleveland, Missouri, which is about 25, 30 miles south of Kansas City. John, tell me, you know any of this story? Is this all? Yeah, it's not familiar. Anyway, so they lived there, I don't remember how many months, but there was a night when we're all back at the house on 50th Street, and all of a sudden the phone rings, and there's some really bad news. The house burned to the ground. They lost everything. All clothing, they had nothing. And they came back and moved into 50th Street for a while. And thinking back on those days after that, I never saw Bill grieve or cry or express trauma or frustration. They just continued on with life and started looking for a place to live and start over. And those 45 records, including Music to Watch the Girls Go By, was lost in the fire. So, condolences to Sean and Toby. Tell your mom I'm thinking of her. Okay. Betty Lou. Oh my God, Betty Lou. When we first met her, we all immediately fell in love with her, and I can want to tell you that love has grown. Where are you, Betty Lou? I don't see you. Oh, way back there. I hope you can hear me. Oh, what can I say about Betty Lou? You're in our family for the rest of your life, our lives. I hope to see you forever. The pastor mentioned the tribe, I'll pronounce it correctly, the tribe of McCall that Bill was involved in, and he eventually got me involved in it as well. So McCall was an honor society that was affiliated with the 2 largest Boy Scout councils in the state of Missouri. And it was founded by a gentleman from St. Joseph named H.O. Bartle, who eventually became the mayor of Kansas City. But more importantly, he founded the Boy Scout camp in Osceola, where the tribe of McCall operated. And you know, we kind of, I like to think of it as a tribute to Native American culture. We learned their habits and dances and rituals and songs. So that's big to say. Okay, so let me finish up with just a couple things that what made Bill Bill, and the pastor and Mr. Clement already said all of this, but you know, like the two most important things that I'll always remember about Bill: faith and family. Childhood church, Roanoke Methodist Church. I was in that church as well, and all the friends, the connections we made that lasted for a lifetime. And I can see that he had that here at Crossroads. And I don't know this, but whether or not they had a church in Litchfield or Arizona. You're not in your head? I figured he would. And the last thing, Bill loved, speaking of the family part of that, Bill loved family gatherings, small or large. My sister, Renee, who can't be here today, reminded me this morning of his visits, along with Betty Lou, to their homes in Pittsburgh, Kansas, and more recently at our annual blowout in Vincennes, Indiana. Renee also reminded me of Bill going regularly to the Richmond, Kansas State Fair, County Fair, I'm sure you know, Richmond Fair. And on a couple of occasions, Bill and his dad just camped out there. When I went there, I stayed at his mom's house, up in a real bed. One memory I have of Bill at the Richmond Fair, one day they had one of the events of the fair was a big tug of war, and there must have been 30 guys, and I mean big, you know, big masculine macho guys, firefighters, 15 on each side, 150-foot long big rope, and 10 or 15 minutes, these men battled back and forth up and down that street until finally Bill's side just squeaked out a victory. I remember this like, go. Bill was a storyteller. I think the previous gentleman mentioned that. And those stories could go on for a long time. They were funny, sometimes slightly off color, but never too far off color. And he'd get us all laughing. And I never minded hearing it again. Okay, Bill, we all love you. You had a heck of a ride, and I know you're in a great place. Love you. Thank you, everybody.